And hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy, here with crank.com and with that metal station out of the US. And today I'm getting to chat with legendary vocalist Sarah Jezebel Deva, whose latest project, Torn Between Two Worlds, is kind of a continuation of the Angtoria project, which I'm really excited to talk about. But Sarah has played, if you don't know, haven't heard of Sarah, I don't know where the hell you've been, but she was with Cradle of Filth for, I think, with 14 years. She's played with Mortiis, Therion, Hecate Enthroned, of course, Angtoria, as I mentioned, and probably a whole bunch of projects I forgot to mention in there, but we wouldn't have enough time to get through them. So, Sarah, thank you for joining me.
That's okay. Hello.
Hey, I want to ask a question first. It may seem a little bit weird, but I was looking back and doing a little bit of research. Is it true that you're originally in a punk band?
Yeah, I was. So the first, I don't remember how it all started, but me and my friend Sarah, we used to follow this band in the UK called Who Moved the Ground, and they're kind of like, oh, if I compared them and they heard me say it, which they won't, they were kind of like a levelers kind of band. But we loved them and we were young. I think we started following them when we were like 15. So we were like little girlies. Oh, I like the singer. Oh, I like the bass player. Oh, he's really hot. You know, you do those kind of really stupid things when you're a child, you know.
Yeah.
And we got to know the band. And I don't know how the conversation come up because I really, really cannot remember. But one of the people that they knew was a guy called Dave, and he had this punk band called Mad Dog. And I've always wanted to sing, you know, from such a young age. I remember, you know, standing in front of the fire at home going la 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 la, and I just always wanted to sing, but I don't know how the conversation came up, but I think obviously I must have said, you know, do you need a singer? And it happened. And I only did one album with them. It was a cassette actually, because CDs didn't exist then, and it was called Howling at the Moon, and we all had dog names. Oh my god, it's so embarrassing.
That's punk.
Seriously. So he was Dave Dog, right? so embarrassing even saying this, because I'm listening to myself and I'm like, oh my god, get a shovel and dig deeper. Yeah. But I was Sarah Sausage.
But
because of sausage dogs. Do you call them sausage dogs?
Yeah, we call them sausage dogs over here in Australia. We're quite aligned in the way we talk. English and Australians compared to Americans anyway.
Yeah, I believe there was a girl in the band, like, I don't know if she was playing bass, but she was Nina Newfoundland, as in Newfoundland the dog. Yep. But I got Sarah Sausage. And you know what? At that age, you don't argue and you make the jokes. But like, just saying this, talking about this, I don't think I've ever mentioned that to anybody. But yeah, had the most awful name. But I did one show with them, and it was supporting the legendary band 999. And I don't know what they do now. I mean, this was so long ago, but we played a gig in Tunbridge Wells in Kent, just outside London. And it was my very first show, very first thing I did like that. And there was all these punks spitting over the stage. And apparently that's what they did to show their appreciation. And I hated it. Oh, yeah. I enjoyed the experience of recording in the studio, but I hated it. And yeah, I mean, I was only young. I didn't do it again after that. But the good thing is that I had this album that I'd done a demo prior to that with my friend Barbarella, who was complete goth, mad cat lady. She was awesome. You know, so I had stuff to show people when I was auditioning you know, so I had, even though Mad Dog wasn't really one that you would be showing people into heavy metal, but you know, it was something to show people. But yeah, Sarah Sausage, oh my God, but could be worse, I suppose.
And then, you know, that's back 1993, and then you look now, you've left a legacy as definitely one of the best vocalists in heavy metal by far. You have quite the catalogue of music. What do you remember? What was the first band you kind of got you into heavy metal back then?
Oh God. Well, firstly, I want to say, when you use the words legacy and legendary,
I think it's cool. I think the body of work you have, Sarah, obviously makes you cringe a little, like hearing those words,
because I don't see it like that.
No, you wouldn't.
I'm just a woman who wants to sing, and that's it. And yeah, you get loads of tags that come with that, negative and positive. But it's just like, when people say legendary or something like that, and I just think, oh my God, it makes me feel really bizarre, because I suppose in some people's eyes that's right, but you know, not for me. I don't see it like that. But it's really nice when you say that, and of course when people say that, I'm really, really appreciative. I really, really am. But it just makes me feel really weird, because I'm me, and it's weird. But so the bands, that got me into metal, well, actually it all started off when I was about 15 years old, and I was actually into hardcore rave and all that type of stuff. I mean, I was into like 80s and 90s pop, but you know, being so young, I was introduced to heavy metal by a friend who I used to go to school with, and we met each other in the park in London. We hadn't seen each other for so many years, and we got talking, and I said to her, "Oh no, come to a rave with me." Not that I'd ever been to a rave when I was like 15 years old. It's just something you say to make yourself look cool. And she's like, "Yeah, okay, well, if you come to a heavy metal club with me." And I was like, ugh. I was like, all right then, all right. So one night we went to a place called the Brewery Tap in Barking in London. And I tell you, from virtually the moment I walked in, I loved it. And it's funny hearing some. I can remember the first night I was there, and I was headbanging within minutes. I don't know, just something happened. Like I was touched by an angel, the heavy metal angel, and I was sucked in. And I remember hearing Alice in Chains, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, and I was just blown away. I loved it, absolutely loved it. But what got me into the extreme side was, as much as I loved all that classic stuff, I started to really get into bands like Deicide and Cannibal Corpse. And then I got introduced somehow, maybe me just looking, Emperor and Enslaved. And that's where I felt at home. And that's where, you know, as much as I love all of it, black metal became the main thing for me. So, you know, it all started, like I say, when I was like 16, 17, really.
And it's a slippery slope, isn't it? You start off with the Alice in Chains and the little bit of metal, and then before you know it, you're getting right into the black metal and the death metal. I found the more I got into heavy metal, I found more of an appreciation for black and death metal. Now I have a lot of metal, but the bulk of my collection is black and death metal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know what you love, don't you? And it's like, I mean, I've made no secret of it. I mean, everyone that knows me knows that Emperor in the Nightside Eclipse, to me, is the best black metal album in the world. And it's really funny, because I've spoken to Faust a few times and mentioned that, and I was like, you know, it is the best black metal album. And he's like, oh well, you know, he was like, yeah, thank you, but obviously other people are going to see it completely different. He probably totally doesn't agree that it's the best black metal album in the world, because they've all got their own tastes. But it's you know, it's a phenomenal album. There's so many that I could look classic black metal albums, but what's classic to me isn't classic to somebody else. But yeah.
Yeah, and I've got to touch on your time with Cradle of Filth. That would have been great having that 14 years doing that, and it kind of would have been great to wind it up the way you did as well.
What do you mean? Wind it up
to look back on the career that you had with Cradle of Filth, 14 years, and to spend time now doing a little bit different, you know, the music that you want to create as well, and picking the projects that you're working with.
Well, I never planned on just being a backing singer. Yeah. That was never, you know, the path for me. I've talked about this a few times, and I've mentioned it on Instagram of where I first heard Cradle of Filth. I was working in a video shop, and a pen pal of mine from Wales sent me The Principle of Evil Made Flesh. And I remember, bear in mind, I was into bands like Deicide and Slayer and all of that. And I started playing the cassette tape at work. And this is no lie, this is exactly how it happened. And I remember it so clearly. I put it in the tape deck. I listened to the smallest amount, and no offense to Dan at all, but I'd never heard vocals like Danny before. And I listened to it, and I said out loud to myself, what a pile of shit. And I took the tape out and I chucked it in the waste paper basket below me.
Can I be honest with you as well? The first time I heard Cradle of Filth, I didn't know what to make of it as well. I was very young in my metal listening as well. And the first time I heard Cradle of Filth, I was the same. I was like, what the fuck is this, you know?
Because I think it was so unique the way he was singing. So I'm talking a matter of months between me chucking that tape in the bin to me saying to my friend, a girl called Adele, she knew some of the guys and their photographer. And I said to her one day, because obviously I didn't want to do this punk thing. As much as I love punk, it wasn't my main thing, you know. And I said to her, do you know of any bands that need a singer? And she came back to me with Cradle of Filth. And I'd totally forgotten about the incident of, as I said, it's only months, a matter of months, but I forgot about me chucking this tape in the bin. And I met up with her and their photographer, a mate of theirs from Colchester, and Paul and Danny in a flat, an apartment in Manor Park, London, and nervous. And we were just all chatting and listening to music. And I think Sisters of Mercy, Temple of Love came on. Oh, do you know, when I hear myself talk about this stuff, it makes me cringe. It really does. But I was singing along to Sisters of Mercy, Temple of Love, the one with Ofra Haza in it. And they might have heard me, I don't know, but somehow I got that backing singer job. And that is where it all started, in that flat in London. And I think I'd gone to a rehearsal, met some of them, and loads of things had happened though, because if you're aware, 3 members left. They walked out, and you know, it took time, but we did, the first thing we did was Dusk in Her Embrace, which I'm not up to date with what has been released, but it was the very first version of Dusk in Her Embrace, and it never got released because 3 members left, and then it was re-recorded. But yeah, so that, you know, that's the start of it. Obviously they got people back in, we did Vampire, and then we redid Dusk in Her Embrace, but it was never my aim to just be a backing singer, but that is unfortunately what I am, and well, that's what I'm known for, backing singing. But so even
your vocals on their own are just amazing. I loved your solo albums. That Angtoria work you got is just great, and your vocals, it's good when you can. I I love these albums that you've brought out. And as you said, you didn't want to just be a backing singer. So to hear you let go with your vocals on your solo albums and with Angtoria, it really is something to behold. And I really did enjoy those releases.
I think when we did Angtoria, I didn't have much of an intention to sing high.
Okay.
And there is a reason why I mean, I do still sing high. I still do that. But I was in the studio with Mortiis, and it was The Smell of Rain. And I did that album, but there was one song, I can't remember what it's called, something like Everything Dies in the End, where he got, and I said this to him recently and we had a laugh about it, but he got someone else to sing the main vocal on that. And I said, why? And he said to me, because I thought you could only sing operatically. And I was like, no. And I was really offended and annoyed by it. And I thought, but maybe you get typecast and maybe that's all people think I could do. So with my solo stuff, whether it's come out right or wrong in anybody's eyes, I tried to still have some high stuff in there, but also try and be me a bit more.
Yep.
Not saying the high stuff isn't me, but I wanted to show that I had a low range, a normal style vocal as well. So I'm very happy that you say what you say. And, the first solo album that I did, A Sign of Sublime, came out so bad. I'm surprised that I still have people today say how amazing that album is, because a professional musician would laugh at half of that. That I signed to a company, and it was a one-man company really, and I won't say too much, but the person doing all the recording over edited everything, so you couldn't do anything with the album. And my friend Dan Abella stepped in and he managed to save some of it. But the best part, the artwork came out amazing. But it just came out so bad. Some of it was brilliant. In fact, one of the tracks that's on there was from the first Angtoria demo that me and Chris did in 2002. But it doesn't always go as you plan, and when you release a solo album you hope it's going to be amazing, and it really, really wasn't. And it's sad because a lot of people weren't happy, and who do you think gets the blame? It's always the person running it. And not the best time, but you live and learn. And I hope that what we're doing now, me and Chris are back together now, and I hope that what people hear now, they love. We don't know at what speed we're going to do stuff because of the world we're living in right now,
it's a crazy time, isn't it?
It's just been, some people's lives have been turned upside down so much, but we'll see where that leads us.
So
hopefully
sorry about that. It's been like 14 years since the I think since Angtoria, wasn't it? Something like that, quite a few years. 2006, I think, was the God Has a Plan for Us All album. What inspired you and Chris to kind of, start to get this musical collaboration going again?
Well, so just going back to that. So me and Chris met. Sorry, my cat is eating my flowers. And you need to stop because you've just chucked up. Right.
I just had a cat make a special appearance in another interview as well. Cats love jumping into interviews.
Furry children, isn't it? It's like cats and dogs. So I was on tour with Therion, and Chris was on tour with Evergrey. He was playing for Evergrey, and they supported Therion on a European tour. And again, it was a conversation. I really wanted to do something because I was getting so much feedback from people. Why are you just doing backing vocals, this and that? So I'm like, okay, well, let's have a go. Let's see where I get. And so we met on tour, and me and Chris had a conversation. And not long after that Therion Evergrey tour, we got together and we did a 5-track demo. And it came out amazing for a demo, apart from one song where we used Aaron from My Dying Bride. And I can't remember, I know he didn't go into a studio, but we kind of got the vocals a bit, they weren't clear enough because it was only a demo anyway, but working with Aaron was just amazing. I'm such a huge fan of his voice. I've always loved My Dying Bride. He's a great person. And yeah, so that was the track. There was just a small part that didn't come out too good, but we would have re-recorded that anyway. Anyway, so we did this 5-track demo. We handed it out to a lot of people. When I was handing out the demo, I was actually on a 10-week tour with Cradle, actually, Ozfest in America. And the demo, as I said, went out to a lot of people without name dropping. One of them was Jason Newstead. He loved it, and it was fantastic. He loved it that much. He took 2 copies. I don't know where they are now. They're probably in the trash, but you know, it's been a long time. But after we did that demo, because we were searching for a deal, it's such a big story. I can't say the name of the band. Malakesh, black metal band. The guy from that band, he's going to kill me if he ever hears this. But he was working for a company, and he managed to get us a deal with Listenable. So we got 2-album deal with Listenable. And so Chris, as I said, Chris wrote the demo, and I wrote I wrote melodies and my vocals. Then we wrote God Has a Plan for Us All. And then his brother came in kind of last minute. It was a good contribution, but it was very last minute. And then, we released God Has a Plan for Us All. We did a video, as you're fully aware. And I suppose the next thing I should say is the reason, it did really well. It did really, really well. Listenable records are phenomenal. We had so much support, but I don't think I was ready. And I think I was the main person that stopped us from going further. And that was because I was so busy with Cradle of Filth. I was so busy with Therion. I was balancing Cradle of Filth, Therion, and I believe Mortiis at the time. And it just became impossible. And I let Angtoria go to the back burner. And I left Therion and everything else to focus on Cradle of Filth. Some people might go, "Oh, that's brilliant," but actually, no, it wasn't. I shouldn't have done it, because I spent so many years working for somebody else, and there's not that much to show for it. And you could disagree with that, and a load of people would disagree with it, but
I understand what you're saying. You've worked. It's kind of like working all your years for a boss and going, I could have been doing this as well at times as well, and not in a negative way. And going, it's just as you want to do things for yourself as well, creatively and artistically as the person you are, and then to go 14 years and I could have done this and I could have done that. Is that one of the regrets that you regret that you didn't do a little bit more back then?
I mean, I held myself back, but others held me back as well. And without going too much into that, there were threats in the past. There were threats of, if you do this, you'll never do that again. And when you're young and you just want to sing and you want to get somewhere, you listen to that. And so you play by the rules, and you good doggy, okay, whatever you want. And that's how it is. And that's how it was for a time. Then, I became an adult and I started to find my voice, no pun intended. And then I started to stand up for myself a bit more. But the simple fact is that it doesn't matter what album I've done, no one takes a backing singer seriously.
That's sad.
It's that simple. It's that simple. I put myself as a backing singer. That's mostly what I did. And press do not take a backing singer seriously. Even if I'd been a size 0, I don't know what the sizing is in your country, but even if I'd been the most beautiful, had the best figure in the world, I probably wouldn't have had the time of day given to me because I was a backing singer.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Some of the media can be so fickle, and that's one of the things that I'm really quite proud of, being independent and being able to do a lot of these interviews and choosing people who I can do interviews and chat with. And over 220, I'm proud of the bands I get to chat with and the people in the underground scene and what they've done in their career as well.
Yeah, well, sometimes, it all becomes about money, doesn't it? And people claim to support underground musicians, but if it doesn't benefit their pocket, they won't support that.
Yeah. It's like the big record companies, they're only pushing so many of the bands, and to really find bands like what we were talking about, Mortiis, Angtoria, and these other bands, you've got to really get into the scene and really follow the scene and chase down and track down bands like those in the scene, because you find that the fucking, as you're saying, these big media companies are only worried about what's going to sell for them, no offense, but what's Corey Taylor got to say today, or things like that, if you know what I mean. It's not really covering the broad scene.
I mean, I quit for about 8 years. After I finished touring as Sarah Jezebel Deva solo stuff, I kind of had enough.
Yep.
I walked away. I got sick of the lies, the backstabbing, the false promises, the egos. One thing I can't stand is ego. We're all the same. No matter what way you say it, we all want to make something of ourselves. I can't stand ego. I can't stand bad attitudes. I hate it. I hate bullying, you name it. And I got so tired of it, especially the lies, as I said, the lies. And so I walked away. Sorry, I just bashed my other cat in the bottom. Luckily, the finger didn't go in, so it's all right. She's fine. Right. Sorry. Right. So, I kind of took a massive break, and I had no intention of doing anything, although I did do a few things like Nada Sadak and Hecate Enthroned. But the idea of touring, I don't want to do that. It would take a lot for me to do it. But saying that, I'm helping Mortiis again now, and he has this Mayhem tour that when obviously tours start again, I'm going to do some shows with him on the Mayhem tour. But it does freak me out a little bit, if I'm honest, because it's kind of something that I'd left behind. I just want to sing, but I don't want the touring stuff with it. But
well, they're bringing a whole lot of anxiety. I know.
Oh yeah, no,
a lot with anxiety going back into touring and that side of it would.
Using a tour bus toilet, that's enough to make me throw up right now. But no, I mean, so my point is that I've been out of the scene for such a long time, and even when I left like 8 years ago, there was barely any females. There was still quite a few, but now it seems it's all blown up. There are women everywhere, and it's like, well, cool. But the scene has changed a lot, because also we're in a different climate now, and it's a very cutthroat business, and record companies don't have the money to throw anymore. Everything's changed.
Independent self-release stuff.
And I mean, I don't know enough. I mean, luckily Chris does, because Chris has his recording studio. He is part of one of the biggest bands in Sweden, Takida. He knows everything. So whatever he says, I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll do that. So we want to stay as independent as possible, but trying to get a record company or anyone to put any kind of money into you these days, it's hard. It's very, very hard. It's not what it was 20 years ago, where people would go, yeah, okay, so here's £10,000, do what you can and blah, blah, blah. It's just not like that. But we're happy with that. And me and Chris have said, it is what it is. We're doing this music for ourselves. we are doing it for our fans as well, because I don't know how we have such a loyal fan base, and people have stuck by me. They've stuck by us, me and Chris, and I don't know how, and we're so humbled by it. But ultimately, the music we do is for us, and people will hate us, and that's fine. That's up to them. They can say what they like, but also, on the other hand, people seem to be loving what we're doing, and we'll keep it like that, you know. But as I said, 8 years away from the scene, and I use this term, and it's not to put myself down. And I've said this to so many people, and they're like, no, you can't say that. But I am a has-been. I've done it, and I'm in the past. So we're not expecting, or I'm certainly not expecting, big magazines or this and to go, oh my God, she's back, she's done this, you know, because I'm in the past now. But if we can get, so for example, you've given me a chance. You've given Torn Between Two Worlds a chance. You're interviewing me. If I can get 5 people to listen to our song, even go to Bandcamp, I don't know.
Yeah, Bandcamp's cool. That's where I get most of my music. I've seen a post today, someone going on about Bandcamp, because it's where I get all of my music. I when I have to go over to iTunes or something, I almost kind of cringe when I have to go and buy music through there, because I'd rather be heading over to Bandcamp and laying down the money and supporting the band.
I didn't know much about Bandcamp. A few people were telling me about it, and you know what? We released the first single, and we made some money.
Beauty of Deception.
Yeah,
came out January 31st.
Yeah, it did so well. Don't get me when I say so well, you know, it made a couple of hundred. Really quickly, and we're like, wow. But as I said, don't care if it makes any money. It's not about that. It's about us being satisfied, and the fans, gaining fans. You know, would love it if we gained some extra fans, and if people start talking about us, whether it be negative or positive, you know, get talking about us, you know. So we're glad we did it. We're glad that we did it. But as I said, the scene has changed so much. People's views have changed so much, and when I started, I was one of the very few females on the scene. There's probably going to be some hardcore, you know, old school people out there, but dear Amanda Gallus, even though I would never compare myself to her because she is the queen, but yeah, there wasn't many female singers doing what I was doing, but now there is. So when I say I'm a has-been, it's very competitive. Can I get people to listen to us even though I'm not singing high that much anymore? I don't know. We'll see.
I think he will. That's for sure. It's that first single, as I was saying, I've been playing it on my radio. I played it today. I got a really good response from it, and I did crank it yesterday as well. So, can you tell me a little bit about this track, "The Beauty of Deception"?
Right. Well, you're going to laugh, and this is where I'm going to make myself look even sillier. I can't remember who I wrote that song about. I kind of, so when I write lyrics, I normally have someone in mind, or a situation, or something that's happened to someone or myself. And I'm not overly sure who I wrote that about, because we wrote that song about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And we wrote 2 songs, in fact, about 6 years ago, and they got lost. And then, yeah, well, because I recorded it with my mate Dan Abella, who, as I said, he was at the very beginning of my solo stuff with A Sign of Sublime, and then he ended up being part of the process when we did The Corruption of Mercy. He's phenomenal. He's got a recording studio, but he's also a phenomenal writer and guitarist and sound man. He does everything. But I recorded the vocals for those 2 tracks, The Beauty of Deception and All Eyes on Me, at Dan's, and they got lost because with most studios, they renew their stuff, they update hard drives, lose hard drives, all of that kind of jazz.
Yeah.
And then me and Chris were just talking a few months ago, and he actually found The Beauty of Deception. Obviously it wasn't named that at the time. Yeah. And he found all the vocals. Now he mixed it, and he did so amazing with it, because those vocals were only demo, and I don't know what he did, but he just, I don't know, I mean, I don't really remember the song that much, but he turned it into what you are playing today, you know. And then because of COVID-19 and lockdown and me and Chris not being able to get together, I sold some stuff, and I bought myself a setup for my home. Nice. So laptop, mic, all of that jazz. And I've started recording slowly. Chris has been teaching me Logic Pro X and all of that. It's very hard, but I'm getting there. And then Chris, I told you, had found something to do with All Eyes on Me. He re-recorded the whole lot, and I re-recorded all my vocals in my front room in my home.
Yeah.
Have you heard it?
I have heard it. I have heard it. I got to listen to it ahead of anyone else that comes out. Well, besides all you guys, that comes out May 2nd. Everybody, you all got to get that.
What do you think of it, though?
I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I sat there with these and played them over and over again about, I know, 4 or 5 times earlier on today. And then when I got them, and they'd playing a lot of Angtoria again. It's been really, for me, I'm loving diving back into your music, because I remember hearing like your solo stuff and that back then, and as they've come out, but to get the chance to dive back into it, it is really cool.
No, I'm so grateful, and that's the thing, and that's why I think we did this as well. I can speak for me and say that this is one of the reasons why I wanted us to continue, me and Chris. It started with me and Chris. It will end with me and Chris.
Yep.
You know, we work so well together, so well, and it's for Angtoria fans and anyone that has supported me. You know, so being able to do these songs, and to have people come back and go, it just sounds like an extension of God Has a Plan for Us All.
Yeah.
And that makes me so happy. You know, we're no longer part of Angtoria like that. Even though we formed Angtoria, there's, you know, stuff I can't say.
Yeah.
But although we formed Angtoria, we will not work under the Angtoria name, which is why we did Torn Between Two Worlds, because it leads you back to the first demo that we did, because the track that I did with Aaron from My Dying Bride was called Torn Between Two Worlds. Yep. So that's why we decided to pick that name. So it kind of does like a, you know, it loops on itself. It all leads back to the very beginning journey of Angtoria. Hopefully that makes sense, but
it does. And I like that you have gone, you know, regardless of anything else happening, I like the idea that you did go through the name Torn Between Two Worlds. It kind of leaves it open to kind of what you want to do, and you're not kind of typecasting yourself back as, oh, we're just going to keep doing what we were doing with Angtoria. You're kind of leaving the book open, per se.
Well, that's it. It is open. Stuff will happen. More will happen. And I can't say what. We're not going to be Metallica, or, you know, we're not going to be massive, and that suits us fine. But for those who are interested in us, just keep watching, you know. I mean, the fact that we've managed to do these 2 tracks in 4 months, and the vocals to All Eyes on Me I did at home. Wow. I mean, I'm so proud of myself, because I'm really crap with technology, but the fact that I can hit a record button, which I can tell you is really difficult when you're on your own, you know, like trying to learn everything and get all the levels right. But the fact that I did this, I'm so proud of myself, and the way the song has come out. And not just that, credit to Chris, because he is so multi-skilled. That man has so much talent, you know, that I think I'm just 5% of it. All the rest is him. You know, this wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for him, and the way his mind works and the way he composes stuff. you know. And as I said, this music is exactly what Angtoria was, but it's fresher, you know.
Yeah,
I
no,
hope people think that, you know.
Yeah, no, that's good, and you can definitely feel that it's a little bit fresher. And I want to touch on the point that you're saying. It's like we're not metallic, we're not, but you're going to reach the fans that you need to reach, and you're going to leave a body of work that you're so proud of. That's all yours as well, and that must be, you know, a special kind of feeling that's worth more than bloody 100 Metallicas, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that Chris has always said, and I do agree, we have to be happy.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's about us. And that's like anybody with any job that they do or any career path they take, you have to be happy. And yeah, if they see we're happy, maybe, you know, that will rub off on people. But, you know, this all eyes on me. It's about being held back. It's about being judged. The kind of concept is about someone beating me down to the point where I don't believe in myself anymore. And then it takes one person to wake me up and kick me in the butt and give me that support. And yeah, wake me up. And that's what that song's about. But it is also about being judged as well. You know, as I've said to people, it doesn't matter who you are, you will get judged for everything that you do.
Yeah.
Even the people that you think are going to support you are going to judge you. And I'm not just talking about what color you are, what you say, what size you are, even down to what you eat. Everything, you are being judged. And sometimes it can knock you down so far that sadly, people take their own lives. And there's been such, without being negative, child suicide is so high. And a lot of that is an extension of the bullying, trolls online, you know.
Social media.
And and the sad thing is that the people that are doing this, they just want to look cool for a few seconds. You know, they want people to hit the like button on their disgusting comments. And these people, some of them are parents themselves, where we teach our children not to bully because it's wrong. Yet they'll go online and go, well, this person's a blah, blah, and that person's disgusting. Oh, that person should kill themselves. And it's just like, what a world we live in where a comment can change everything for you. And comments have changed things for me. And I'm not talking about people attacking me on appearance, because of course I've had that. And you know what, you could say what you want. People could say, well, because I'm 44 now, I really don't care. There was a point when it did bother me, and I couldn't understand why people were judging me on appearance and not by the voice. But now, I'm not bothered about that anymore. It just doesn't faze me. I want people to judge me on the voice, but that's not always going to happen. But as I said, there comes a point in your life where you can brush that to one side, and as I say, someone arrives in your life who wakes you up. And do you know what? I'll tell you who that person is. It's Lindsay Schoolcraft, who left Cradle of Filth. I hadn't really spoken to her in a whole time in Cradle of Filth. And I didn't want to, and it's nothing to do with her. I just didn't want anything to do with that part anymore. And she'd send me a few birthday messages and, hi, how are you, and blah blah blah, and I'd reply back very politely, but I just didn't want to know. And then, don't know, we just got talking. We got talking, and we found that we had a lot in common. And it was like we were mirrored. Our lives were mirrored. And she woke me up. She was like, she said things like, you're the queen, you're the original, blah blah blah. Yep, people can laugh at that comment, but they were her views. And she's like, people want you to sing. you are wasted by not singing. And she was going on at me in the nicest way. And she's like, I can do this for you. I can help you. I can do this. I can do that. And then I had a few more people, known people going, yep, she's right. You need to do this. You need to do that. And then it kind of woke me up. And that's how I'm back here now. So if anybody hates the fact that I'm doing music again, you have them to blame.
Well, fuck them people that hate you doing music. You're doing it for you, and I don't think those people have any place in any scene anywhere in the world. I think we got to put a lot more positivity in the world. Lindsay Schoolcraft, those albums she brought out, unreal. And I recently had an interview with a guy called Her Knox from Canada who was done a few songs with her on his latest album. Well, they were really good bits on that too.
Yeah, I haven't heard that yet because I'm only just sort of getting back into the social media thing.
And it's hard to keep up with everything, eh? It really is for me. I'm like, as you were saying, the music reaching the people, but it's a different scene now than you know, a few years ago.